I'm 78 years old now. My joints ache when the weather turns, and I sleep maybe 4 or 5 hours a night. But the thing that really keeps me up isn't my age. It's the 10 years of my life that got swallowed whole by a rich man's lie. 10 years taken from me, stolen, and the system just handed it to them, wrapped up with a bow, because of who they were and what I looked like. I was working as the head janitor at a mid-sized logistics firm across town. This was back when I was in my late 40s. Good money for what it was. Steady work. I kept my head down, did my job, and made sure the place was spotless before the suits came in the next morning. When you push a mop in a place like that, you're invisible. People walk right past you. They leave their doors open. They talk on the phone like you're deaf. They just don't see you. You're part of the furniture, especially when you're a black man in a building full of old money. The owner of the company was a man named Arthur Hayes, old school guy, hard nosed. But it was his son, Bradley, who was the real problem. Bradley was the VP of something or other. Fancy title, corner office, didn't do a damn thing. He drove a silver Porsche, wore suits that cost more than my car, and always had this slick, arrogant look on his face. He treated the staff like garbage. He'd spill coffee on the carpet and just look at me, point at it, and walk away. I never said a word. You don't say a word. You clean it up because you need the check. But Bradley had problems. Everyone in the building knew it, even if they didn't talk about it out loud. I heard him on the phone late at night when I was emptying the trash in the hallway. He'd be sweating, pacing around his office, talking fast and low. He owed money, a lot of it. You don't have to be a genius to know what a desperate man sounds like. I figured it was gambling or something worse. But it wasn't my business. My business was the trash cans and the floors. Then came a Thursday night in November. I'll never forget it. I was working the late shift. Just me and the security guard down at the front desk. I was cleaning the executive suites on the top floor. I pushed my cart past Bradley's office, and his door was cracked open. The lights were off, but I could hear movement inside. Someone was in there. I didn't go in. I didn't knock. I just kept pushing my cart. A few minutes later, Bradley came rushing out. He looked panicked. He had a heavy leather duffel bag slung over his shoulder. He didn't even look at me. He just hit the elevator button, got in, and the doors shut. I went into his office to empty the bin. Behind his desk, a heavy painting was swung out from the wall. Behind it was a wall safe. The door of the safe was wide open. Nothing inside, just empty shelves. I should have called the police right then. I really should have. But you have to understand my reality. I'm a black man in my 40s, alone on the top floor of a corporate building, standing next to an empty safe. If I call the cops, who do you think they're going to look at first? So I did what survival taught me to do. I wiped down the desk, emptied the trash, left the safe exactly how it was, and finished my shift. I went home and prayed it would just blow over. It didn't. Friday morning, 6 a.m. I'm just waking up, and there's a pounding on my front door. Not a knock, a heavy, hard pounding. I look out the window. 3 police cruisers on my lawn, lights flashing. My heart dropped right into my stomach. I opened the door in my undershirt. Before I could even ask what was going on, 2 officers grabbed me, spun me around, and slammed me against the wall. I didn't resist. I went completely limp. I kept my hands wide open and visible. I know how this goes. One wrong move, one twitch, and I'm dead on my own front porch. The cuffs went on tight, so tight my hands went numb. I didn't say a word about it. They threw me in the back of the cruiser. The neighbors were outside, watching, just staring. That's a walk of shame you never forget. People looking at you like you're an animal, already deciding you're guilty. Down at the station, they put me in a small room, gray walls, 1 table, 2 chairs. They left me there for hours, just letting me sweat. Finally, 2 detectives walked in. One sat down, the other leaned against the door. "Where's the money, Marcus?" the one at the table asked. $50,000. That's what was in the safe. Cash. Company emergency funds, they said. 50 grand gone. And Arthur Hayes was out for blood. I told them exactly what I saw. I told them about Bradley. I told them about the duffel bag, the panic on his face, the gambling rumors. The detective leaning against the door actually laughed. He just shook his head and laughed. "You're really going to put this on the boss's son?" he said. "Bradley Hayes was at a charity dinner last night, Marcus. Hundreds of witnesses. We already checked." My blood ran cold. A charity dinner. They had it all worked out. Bradley must have paid someone, or his friends covered for him. He slipped out, took the money, and went back. or the whole dinner thing was a lie, and the cops just didn't care to look too hard. Why would they? They had a black janitor with the master keys. It was a neat, clean narrative. We found the master key card logs, the detective said. Your card was used to access the executive suite at 10:14 p.m. The security guard said you were the only one upstairs. Bradley was there, I kept saying. He didn't use a card. He was already in the building. Ask the guard. The guard didn't see him, they said. Of course he didn't. There was a back stairwell that led straight to the executive garage. Bradley knew the building better than anyone. He set me up. He needed that 50 grand to pay off whoever was breathing down his neck, and he needed a fall guy. I was the perfect fall guy, disposable, invisible. They charged me with grand larceny. Bail was set at a number I couldn't even dream of paying. I sat in county jail for months waiting for trial. My wife had to take on extra shifts just to keep the lights on. We lost our house. We lost everything. All while I sat in a cinder block cell, staring at the ceiling, realizing that the truth doesn't mean a damn thing if you don't have the power to make people listen. My lawyer was a public defender. He looked like he hadn't slept in a week. He came to see me maybe 3 times total. He had a stack of files a foot high and kept mixing up my name with another client. Look, Marcus, he told me one afternoon through the plexiglass. They're offering a plea, 3 years. You take it, you do maybe 18 months with good behavior. You go to trial, you lose, they'll max you out. They're talking 10 to 15. I didn't take it, I said. I'm not pleading guilty to something I didn't do. It doesn't matter what you did, he sighed. It matters what they can prove. They have your key card log. They have motive. You've got debt. They're going to put Arthur and Bradley Hayes on the stand, a respected businessman and his son. Who do you think a jury is going to believe? He said the quiet part out loud. An all-white jury in this county isn't going to look at a wealthy, connected white family and then look at a black janitor and choose the janitor. It just wasn't going to happen. But I was stubborn. I had my pride. I told him we're going to trial. Worst mistake of my life. The trial lasted 4 days. It was a circus. Bradley got on the stand wearing a tailored navy suit. He looked like a choir boy. He lied through his teeth. He talked about how much he trusted me, how he always said good morning to me, how betrayed he felt. The prosecutor painted me as a disgruntled, jealous employee who saw an opportunity and took it. They paraded my bank statements, my credit card debt. They made me look poor, which I was, and they made poor look like a crime. I took the stand. I told my story. I kept my voice calm. I didn't get angry. You can't get angry on the stand if you look like me. If you show 1 ounce of frustration, they label you aggressive. They label you a threat. So I swallowed my rage. I spoke clearly. I told them about the duffel bag. The prosecutor tore me apart. He mocked me. He made it sound like I was writing a cheap detective novel to save my own skin. I looked at the jury box. 12 faces. Not one looked like mine. Some wouldn't even meet my eye. The others looked at me with this quiet, polite disgust. I knew it was over before they even left the room to deliberate. It took them 2 hours. Guilty. The judge didn't even look up from his papers when he read the sentence. 10 years. He hit the wood with his little hammer and said, 10 years. Just like that. The bailiff grabbed my arms. I looked back at the gallery. My wife was sobbing, holding on to the bench. Over on the other side, Bradley was sitting next to his father. Bradley caught my eye for just a second. He didn't smile. He didn't smirk. He just gave me this blank, cold look. The look a man gives when he knows he owns the world and you're just dirt under his shoe. I went to state prison. I spent 10 years in a place designed to break you down to nothing. You survive by shutting off your emotions. You stop hoping. You stop thinking about the outside, because the outside will drive you crazy. You just exist, day by day, hour by hour. I watched my late 40s and my 50s disappear behind razor wire. I missed my daughter's high school graduation. I missed her wedding. I missed the birth of my first grandson. You can't put a price on that. You can't ever get that back. My wife stuck by me for the first 5 years, but the strain was too much. The distance, the money, the shame. We divorced. I don't blame her. The system didn't just lock me up. It destroyed my entire family tree. I got out when I was 58. They gave me a bus ticket and a check for $200. Gate money. That's what 10 years of my life was worth to them. I walked out into a world that had moved on without me. Everything was faster. Technology was different. I couldn't get a job. Who hires a 58-year-old black man with a felony conviction for grand larceny? I ended up washing dishes in the back of a diner for minimum wage, living in a single room above a hardware store. A few years after I got out, I saw a newspaper left on one of the diner tables, the business section. There was a picture of Bradley Hayes. He was the CEO now. Arthur had passed away. Bradley was expanding the company, opening new warehouses. He looked older, a little gray at the temples, but he had that same arrogant look. He stole $50,000, ruined a man's life, and his reward was the whole damn company. There's no justice in this world, not for folks like us. The scales are weighted. They always have been. The law isn't about truth. It's about who has the money to buy the truth and who has the power to write the narrative. I was a casualty, collateral damage in a rich kid's screw-up. I live quiet now. I try to find peace where I can. I go to church. I see my grandson when I'm able. But the anger never really leaves you. It just settles in your bones. It aches when it rains, right along with the arthritis. I'm leaving my story here on this channel today because I know I'm not the only one. There are thousands of men just like me sitting in cells right now for things they didn't do, just because they didn't have the right skin color or the right bank account to fight back. If you felt this, if you've been through this system, or you know someone who got chewed up by it, drop a comment down below. I'll be reading them all. And please, subscribe to the channel because there are a lot more of us out here with stories that need to be heard. We can't stay invisible forever. God bless you all. Goodbye.